Welcome to This Commerce Life. We are an unscripted podcast dedicated to small businesses and entrepreneurs in the retail and consumer packaged goods space in Canada and the United States.
I'm Phil Chang, co-host and co-founder.
And I'm Kenny Benucci, co-host and co-founder of This Commerce Life.
Our love is the journey to retail, and our passion is sharing that with you every week.
And prompt is like already recording. Look, it doesn't even come up as her name. It comes up as Herbal.
Oh, no, it's me. Hang on. Sorry.
So look at you, Herbaland Naturals. Oh, my God.
No.
Big shot.
So fancy. You're so
well
dressed.
I'm the company. I am the company.
Good Lord.
Where are you going on a podcast?
I feel like I should go change. I'm wearing a tie-dye t-shirt and you're in nice office clothes.
Like, where are you going?
I just got home from work.
She's like, why are you busting my chops? Like, just
because I'm feeling like Phil. It's this shit, man. I look like I'm going I'm not even to the gym. I don't know where the hell I'm going.
There was about 4 inches of gray hair roots there, you guys. So, I had to I threw on some lipstick for you. There you go.
No, lady. There's no gray apparent whatsoever. None whatsoever.
It's a podcast, but you guys can see me. So I feel like look good, feel good, right? Yeah? No?
Yes.
Whatever makes you happy.
You're amazing.
It's all amazing.
This is okay, right?
Oh, 100% that is okay.
Jesus.
100% that is okay.
Yeah, this is not my first rodeo.
I usually drink when we're doing these things too.
I love it.
Good. I like a glass of wine.
I love it.
Except for when I have a hot flash.
I don't have those. Well, not generally.
Maybe
a couple glasses.
Menopause too, though, just so you know.
Do we really is that really a thing though?
Really?
Yeah.
Because I've read it, but I've never I've read it, unread it.
But is that just us pissing and moaning?
Yeah.
What do you really
are you talking about the urge to buy a sports car at our age? Because that's not really
midlife, no?
That's a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
But
okay.
I mean, I guess we probably could say that is the same thing as men do go through menopause. You do go through that whole hormonal shift and change. I don't know if you go through the exact same things as women because we have different hormones, but you definitely go through a change. Lots of times I think when men do go through it, that's when you start doing the super adventurous kind of stuff.
Maybe that's the mentality change. I think, what it is, I think we just get the changes, just probably fear of death or mortality or some thing, but that's really not you guys.
So what happens to adventure junkies who already do the fear of death stuff? Do you do more of it or do you do less of it?
Well, I don't know. Maybe you do more of it. Maybe what is that
I'm feeling like the wife is going to leave me if there's more of it.
Oh,
because I'm kind of already.
You kind of already do that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe you'll be the opposite. Maybe this is where you start to really slow down and you'd be like, okay, I've been here, been there, done that. And now you're just I want to couch surf and I'm going to dive into some documentaries and do things like that. I don't know.
Are you talking about death or just a change in stage? That's Chelan.
I don't know. I'm just trying to navigate being a woman. I'm really trying to I'm in my 40s. I still haven't figured men out, but I'm talking as if I know all about you guys and what happens with your hormones. I know a small minute part.
I don't think we're that complex, really. I mean, seriously, I don't really think so. I mean, I think mentally we probably go through some. I bet you any money.
No. I actually think men are more complex because
really?
Yes.
we're full of contradictions, right? Women, if you really get down to the nuts of it, they do almost everything with a quite a bit of logic, right? But men, we're boys walking around in a men's, kind of appearance. No, it's really complex, right? Because you expect that at 50 that we're men of 50, different. Right? But in fact, you're 17 from about 17 till you're 34, 35. And then somewhere in there, you mature a couple of years, right? And then everyone goes, oh, what happened there? They got introspective and kind of smarter. And then all of a sudden you hit 50 or 60, and then you turn into this old man, right? I think it's all fucked up. I don't know how women look at us and go, you guys are idiots, right? What? Who put you in charge of anything? Why are you allowed to drive heavy machinery? What is I'm telling you, I don't.
Wow, Phil.
I'm just saying, like, it makes sense to me.
I
Like,
listen. I don't know. I told Carly was bugging her brother one time. This is like 10 years ago, so they were 15 and 13, and she was going off on him. And I looked at her, I said, "You know what?" I said, "Just so you know, first off, he's a really good kid. He's a nice he's a nice boy. He's a good boy." And I said, "Just so you know, that's the best you're gonna get, because after this age, we go downhill, right, all the way to the end, baby.
Yeah.
So if you're already agitated with him at 14 or 13, there's no saving this." And he's a good one. Like he's your brother, but he's like he'd be considered like that's a catch. So I said, if you're agitated with this, man, I don't know what the hell you're gonna end up with, because
Yeah, see, this is what I'm saying, right? Like
he set the bar. The
we're
rest of us are like,
we think we're simple, we're actually not. Like we don't
Yeah,
even
I
half
don't
the
think
time
we're
we don't
complex
even
at all.
understand what's going on in our own heads, right? So I think that's
yeah, what do we do about it? Nothing.
I don't know.
Exactly. So how complex is that?
I think I've already figured it out is don't leave me in charge of anything. Like that's kind of the
Maybe that's why
that's
we try to
really
work
the
with so
answer,
many
right?
women.
Just don't leave me in charge of anything. And then like I've done my public service. That's the way it should work. So
Wow.
I think that I think men definitely are. I think you guys aren't as, I mean, you're saying that men are simple, but no, I don't agree with that
Really?
either.
I don't
Like,
know.
I think you guys are more complex for sure. Different emotions, different mentalities.
Different.
And I
It's a
think
whole different. Yeah, I mean the wiring
Yeah.
I think is basically different.
Yeah.
In a
you
lot of
guys have
respects.
testosterone and we have estrogen. I mean,
Yeah,
guys
and
do
it's-
have estrogen, by the way, so don't
Right.
think that you guys don't. But your male hormone testosterone is just like raw, right?
It changes the mentality. It changes the wiring.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I
walk around in that, like you said, you walk around in testosterone, like in the
Yeah.
bubble where you're just like, must do this and blah, blah. Like you have a different, where women are, we're so like we all know emotional creatures. We don't totally do everything. I even today, I'm trying to be like, don't get emotional. But I'm like, I'm a woman. I get emotional. So it's just different. Yeah. Polar opposites, but
Interesting.
complex in your own way, men.
Men.
Different decision makers for sure.
Yeah, I
Sure.
guess so.
Right? Like,
Different.
I don't know
about decision makers, but different. Just
Well, there are a lot of male decision makers, and you look at
Yes.
decisions that are made. If you were to compare that, if you were to
not
put
so
a
good.
man and a woman and be like, what is your decision around this? Like, do a study and have them separate, give them something to, make a decision about. The answer is probably going to be different, or there might be like, maybe it's very similar, but the
Agreed.
rationale behind it.
The rationale and the
totally different.
path is going to be probably different, which is probably why I like working with women generally, is because
Yeah, me too.
it's a different mind. I don't know. We're probably going to get shit for this podcast. I can already feel it. I can already feel it. We're going to get like zeros and twos and ones, and people are going to be all over us for these general thoughts. But we may as well continue on now. Why not? Right? But I do think it's a whole different. I think that's probably why like men and women really should work together, and with the balance does need to be better. Too many men in one room is just not good decisions. Like typically decisions are going to be a train wreck, in my opinion, because the testosterone kicks in and it just becomes like who can yell the loudest, stamp the loudest, whatever. Potentially too many women in the room could be the exact same. Maybe just different way of getting to that end. I don't really care what it is, but I do think it's a nice balance if you can even it out.
Mhm.
Like I think you just get better decisions, because one side grounds the other and the other one grounds the other. Kind of, I don't know. I think it works better that way, to be honest. I always worked with women. I like working with women more than I do too many men. I do. It's just different.
Well, it's a different conversation.
It's a different everything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It is. The
Different
dynamics are
everything.
different. I like it.
It's like if you were to go and have a conversation, like women are so like girl talk, get together with their girlfriends, we unleash everything. And your girl tribe is all like, yeah, right. But then if I was to take the same thing, like, and have a discussion, the same kind of thing with men, or like, and then I do have probably equal polarity with like guy friends and women friends. Right. And it is a different conversation. It's a different, like for me to go in with a problem or something, like it's a different, the advice, it's totally, and sometimes I choose who I'm going to with something, because I'm like, I know I'm going to probably get the answer and I'm going to say this. If I want like a really down to earth answer and something where it needs to check me, I'll probably go to a man for that to be like, hey, I need your advice on something. I'm probably going to be like, hey, I just need this. And my girlfriends are probably like, what? But sometimes I need that. Right. Whereas with women, it's still a little bit different. This just went sideways, hey?
This is gonna go nowhere good.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
It's
like,
amazing though.
I don't know how to. Where is this gonna?
No, it's a
And welcome to the show.
Yeah, that's exactly
totally
what we're
good
gonna
with
do.
it. I'm
So
just thinking, this is gonna go nowhere. It'll go good from here on out, but we've probably lost like half the listeners.
well,
Oh,
people
have
are
no
probably
idea
writing
who I
mean
am, but
comments
we're
right about now. So
talking about
Yeah,
men and
it's
women
all
and their hormones.
So let's do that. So we have Chelan Wilkins on, and she works at Herbland Gummies. And what's cool is, I met Kenny. Obviously knows Chelan from before.
Yep.
I met Chelan at CHFA. We both worked at Pauling Labs on the NRC kind of business at different times. So I've definitely heard the name over the years, right? But it was nice to put all good things, right? So
It better be.
but good to put name to face, and then we thought, and then Chelan working on Herbland, it's just really great product, right? So we thought we'd grab you and get you on, and
I wanted the story too because
Yeah.
you're different. I mean, you've had some education, and then you went to work, had the kids, I guess still work, back for some more education, done a few different things. So like, just walk us through. Just tell us who you are and what you do and why you
Well,
do
here we go.
it.
Everybody pour a drink. Let's sit down.
Let's
Let's
just sit
go.
back and relax and have a
Yeah.
chat, shall we?
The land show. This is what we should call it.
Oh, see, this is great for you. That's exactly what you want this to be. So there you go. You've got your next 45 minutes.
What this is
all about you.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Oh, wow. Well, I guess a little history. So yeah, I mean, I've been in this industry it's pushing 8 years. I remember when I first got into this industry, and I get a little nostalgic every time CHFA East comes up, because that was my first trade show in the industry. And I remember walking in there, and people are listening, probably like, she's crazy. But I remember walking in and walking to this trade show and being like, I'm already in love with this industry. Like, I just remember walking and seeing all the booths and all the companies. And I was like, I'm home. I love this. I want this. I want to this is my space. And it took me, like, I remember walking in there being like, how will I see myself in this industry a few years down the road? Cause I was hired about 6 weeks before I went to my first show. But, my path going into the natural health and wellness industry is, I was young. I had my kids young. I was a stay-at-home mom. Actually, I did start, I worked at Save On Foods. That was my first job. I was 15. I worked at Save On Foods for 10 years. So I do come from a retail background. I worked in cosmetics and the photo department in North Van. So I did that for 10 years, met my husband at a Super Bowl party, had some babies, stayed at home for 10 years, and thought I would try and, be a stay-at-home mom. Did that for a little bit. And then, decided to become a holistic nutritionist. And it was funny because I went through like a whole weight loss journey. And that's kind of how I jumped into this industry, is that, I had my own health issues. So I lost some weight, got into the fitness industry, and became a holistic nutritionist. And I ran my own practice for about a year and a half. And I loved it. I loved the natural health and wellness industry in the sense of like helping clients and things like that. But I wanted something more. And I was offered a position with Organica as their educator. And I tell the story quite often to people because I graduated from the Institute of Holistic Nutritionists, and what they do is they actually will ask previous grads to give, feedback on what to do, when you graduate, because like anything, when you graduate high school, university, you have all these big plans and you have all this pressure to do something with all this education that you got. And then you get out there and you're like, I don't really know what to do with this, or I don't want to do this. Like, it's like, there's so much pressure to be like, you have to do this. You spent all this time, and I felt like that was how it was. Even when I went to holistic nutrition, I was like, I'm going to open a practice, which I did. I'm going to see a bunch of clients. And then I was a year into it. I'm like, ugh. So, I give back to, the people at the school. I'm always like, your career is going to shift and it's going to change. And that's exactly what happened. I was given an opportunity to work for a company called Organica as their educator. And I remember having to do my resume, and it had been 10 years. And all I could think about is like, what do you put on the resume after you haven't worked in 10 years? It's really hard. It's really hard for a woman who hasn't been in the workforce to be competitive in an industry that I'm just stepping into, and, you know, filling out like, I was like, oh, I was a fundraising coordinator for the PAC. And, you know, like I'm putting all these volunteer things, and I'm thinking, I'm like, I'm not ever going to get hired because I haven't worked in 10 years. And, you know, this job that I was applying for was a big stretch. And I look at it now and I'm like, you know, back then I was so worried about it. And I look at it, it really opened my eyes to this industry. So I was their educator for a year and a half. And that's really where I fell in love with the industry. And I traveled across Canada talking about their brand. I got to talk to all the retailers. And I really, you know, that's kind of what intrigued me to get into marketing. And I remember some people in the industry who, you know, my mentors and my friends, they were all like, you're really good at this. You should do this. And I'm like, oh, I have no education. And that's what inspired me to go back to school. So I just actually graduated from UBC Sauder School of Business after 4 years with a sales and marketing diploma. Graduated.
Yay, congratulations.
4.0 GPA. Sorry, I'm saying that because I'm in my 40s and I can say that.
Yeah.
Shit, I graduated with 1989. I didn't have a 4.0. I can tell you that.
I don't want to talk about my GPA.
I had a good GPA in one class.
I never cared about my GPA till now.
Yeah, clearly I didn't either. So I don't want to talk about that.
Mine reflects that as well.
4.0. That's amazing.
Wow, that's killer.
Yeah, I mean, it still goes like, that's not the top, just to be clear. I think the top's like a 4.33, but I'll take a 4.0. You know, I never cared about it when I was in high school. It's kind of funny. Like played a lot of sports, but, and I didn't really think about the educational aspect, but when you're going back to school and you're paying for it, you really think about the
It's different, right? Well, and you're different age too. Like you get it.
There's different things now, right? Like when I go back to school now, I actually, you know, the kids watch me go back to school. So I've gone back and done courses. And you kind of like, I'm just going to do the course. And then, but you come home and the kids are like, hey, how was school? And then you're like, oh God, like I cannot come home with a C. Like it just, it's not okay now. Right. Like, damn it, I got to do some work. Right. Like, you know,
you're asking the kids to come home with A's and you're coming home with a C.
Yeah. Right. Like what the hell, man? Like,
not going to work.
Well, I have a 13 and a 15-year-old, and my 13-year-old, you know, she doesn't really, you know, pay too much attention, but my 15-year-old, she does, because she's in high school. And so when I'm like, hey, I'm going to go put myself in my office, I'm going to go work on our project, her first question is, well, when's that project due, Mom? And I'll be like, well, one thing about me that I can openly admit is that I do my best work under pressure. And anybody who has ever worked with me knows that I am the last minute lady doing the presentation the night before she's presenting, doing my best. That's when I do my best work, is under pressure.
It's got to get done.
It's got to get done. And I'm
like, always something
I recognize a fellow last minuter, but that shit is tight when you do it at the last minute. It comes out. It's a point of pride. Like I'm right there with you. Like I'm gonna gun it at the last minute, but it's gonna come out and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be crisp and it's all up here somewhere. You know, like all the ideas are you know, flowing. And trust me, I've written New Year's resolutions to be like, okay, so this year you're gonna you're gonna plan ahead. You're not gonna leave things to the last minute. You're gonna be like so on top of your whatever, your schoolwork, your laundry, your housework, whatever. You're going to be like, I got this. And it's like, nope, that's not who I am.
And really doesn't matter. No. So who cares?
No, nobody needs to know except for my 15-year-old who's looking at me. She's like, Mom, you should have got this done earlier because I'm on her all the time. I'm like, you've got homework to do. Get on this. So
do as I say, not as I do. First rule of parent. And the other rule is you do you, I'll do me.
No, but I tell the kids the same thing. So my kids are similar. I have a 20-year-old and then I have a 16 and a 14-year-old. And the 16 and the 14, like when I turn in things, they're definitely on it, right? Like, you know, and I'll say to them, it's okay. Like the standard has to be there, right? Like when you were small. Yeah, because I don't want to help you at the last minute, right? Like I don't want to stay up all night because you got to make a volcano or whatever the hell. You know,
I got to read a book in an hour.
Yeah. But as long as you're, you know, like, because now they're older, right? And go, if your shit's tight and you do it the night before, I'm okay with it. Like it's, you know, you gotta like, but you know, if you wake up the next morning and it's garbage.
We got
Then
a
you should
problem.
have started sooner.
But that should be with
That's-
all
you
of
know,
them.
that's
I got
it.
to. Like Daniel is way
yeah.
ahead. Daniel gets a project today, due next week. He's already done it like by tomorrow. He's all freaked out.
That's
His
my
sister,
middle one. Yeah.
right to the wire.
Yeah.
Right to the wire. And if anything, even asking for an extension. And
Oh,
probably getting it because she negotiates it. But you know what I mean? Like that, they're two different kids.
those are really
It
good
works.
skills though.
Well, actually, see,
Mhm.
and I kind of admire both because I'm neither.
Yeah.
Right, because typically I'm like last minute, but I won't negotiate, but I'll get shit done. But it's like right to the wire as well. Probably not as chaotic as you two, but it's there. But whatever works for them. I mean, who cares? As long as you get it done, good on you. Before you go any further, what's a holistic nutritionist?
Yeah.
Okay, good question. So a holistic nutritionist is a nutritionist that specializes in basically healing the body with like foods and nutrients. So we're kind of looking at the approach of things that go on in the body, and instead of, I don't want to say instead of taking medications, because you never should say that. We're partnering with conventional medicine.
100%.
We're not shooing them away, but it's a holistic and natural approach to supporting the health of your body. And that's what a nutritionist does. So a lot of times when people come to see me, or they're asking how they can, change the way they feel through food and nutrients. So that's what a holistic nutrition is. So you can either have like a bachelor's in nutrition, you learn all those things like from UBC about the fundamentals of nutrition and the foods we eat, and a holistic nutritionist specializes in things like orthomolecular health, which is our vitamins and our supplements, and conditions associated with deficiencies and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool program. I really enjoyed it. It was a year and I learned a lot. That's how I stepped into here. And
that's how you're doing what you're doing. That's why I was curious. I just want to understand like what the hell that meant. It sounds good.
It does. It has.
And I think the first time you told me, I just nodded and said, that's awesome. I walked away. I don't know what the hell she just told me.
I know what the hell she is.
I liked you anyway, so it didn't really matter to me. I thought, okay, whatever. She's pretty cool. I don't really know what the hell she does or what, but that's all good in the hood. I don't know what I do. So what, why would I criticize anyone else?
I hear that a lot. A lot of people are like, so what are you up to these days? You're doing a lot of things. I'm not such a simple girl. Like, as you know, I in the industry worked for a company, Organica, worked with NRC.
Yeah.
I now work with Herbaland gummies, like totally stepped into an entirely different role. Like I dove 2 feet into a role that I was like, whoa, here we go. It's been a fun ride, but I also still my background is I'm a holistic nutritionist. I started my own brand a year ago. And, as Kenny knows, one of my biggest passions is women's health, hence why we were talking about hormones. And I've been super passionate about that for probably about the last 4 or 5 years. So during the pandemic, when we were all at home, I started my own brand called A Hot Mess. And it's a pretty funny story behind how that came alive. But basically I created a platform for women and talking all about the things that go on in our bodies, our hormones, our health, relationships, all sorts of things. Started a podcast all about, just talking about women's health and hormones. And
awesome.
So a lot of the times people are like, what the hell do you do? Are you doing a hot mess? Are you doing your own thing? Or are you working for a brand? I'm like, all of the above.
Sure,
check off all the boxes. I am the professional multitasker and a professional talker.
I love what cued me into that is so what are you up to? It's like, when you get it doesn't actually matter, because I think, I don't know about you, Kenny, I get that a lot too, because I am the same, right? Like we got the podcast going. I'm a contractor. I do all sorts of stuff on the side, but I also teach digital marketing at a local college, right? And so everyone's always like, so I recognized this. So it didn't matter what you said. I was like, oh, I get you. I understand what's happening. Yeah. They're like, we don't understand what's happening.
I don't even, people ask me, people don't even ask me, like all the friends have, so what are you doing? You're still busy, right? And that's it. That they don't even ask me. Like,
they're almost afraid to ask now, right?
Because what do you do? You're thinking, well, I don't know, like a lot of different things.
Yeah.
It's
I love it.
Tied to 9 to 5 or 8 till 4.
The podcast everywhere. Is super wicked. It's called A Hot Mess, right? And then I found it. So it's on Apple Podcasts and a bunch of other places.
It's on Spotify
right?
too.
Yeah. I haven't done a recording in a while because I took on a new task of being a sales and marketing manager,
busy.
which is it kind of, a little bit, just a little bit. I mean, pulled off a
You're
rebrand.
always on. Like I watch your post too. Like it's good. Okay, see now I was going to ask you like, so like clearly, like what the hell are you doing now? Because it's like at least before it was marketing, or you could say that, you know, the holistic nutrition, but I think, okay, like, are you in sales? Are you in marketing? Are you running the place? Like you're all over the place. Like, what are you doing?
Oh my gosh, I don't know right now. To be honest, I feel like it all. No,
Seriously, like you look like you're like all over the place in that company.
Well, you know what? So again, I feel like, I don't know, if I was ever to write an autobiography about my life, it's just like so many amazing, like I've had so many amazing opportunities and things just happen. And I'm like, I'm the girl that'll just be like, I'm just going to go for it. So, you know, if an opportunity falls in my lap, I'm like, I never want to say no. Yeah. So I'm like, let's just roll with it. You know, worst thing you could do is fail. And then you got to get back up and keep going. Right. So, you know, yeah, I spent a year running, you know, getting my brand up and running with my podcast and, you know, Hot Mess and doing a lot of stuff there. And, you know, I wanted to get back into the industry, and I was so focused, you know, I just was like, I want to get back in the industry and working in marketing or working with a brand, because I love working with brands. Even though I had my own brand, this is just more of like a passion project for me. And I'm super happy about that. I don't want it to become a job, because I don't want to lose the luster and the love for it. So this is just something that's like extra. So I had this opportunity. I remember like my family and I go on a big holiday every summer for 3 weeks camping. And I remember just finding this job come up. And I remember saying to my husband, I'm like, I'm going to apply for this job. Of course, I was having a couple of glasses of wine, and I didn't mention this before, but everything that's ever come through, like becoming a holistic nutritionist, applying for Organica, applying to Sauter, I've had a couple glasses of wine and just kind of been on the laptop like, oh, this looks like a great, let's do it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, wow. So every story begins with the glass of wine here. So I applied for this job, and I remember thinking like, I'm not even going to change my resume. And I got a call back the next day, and it was for marketing manager. And they had been doing a lot of cool things over the pandemic. They launched this amazing campaign called Immunity for Community, Community for Immunity, sorry.
I like that. That was nice. Nice ring to it.
Yeah. And cool. What they did, and one of the cool things about Herbaland is that they're so involved in the community, and I'm super all about that. So they actually donated over 70,000 bottles of immune gummies to the frontline workers during the pandemic. So they went around to the various hospitals from BC and then across Canada and just donated their immune gummies to the frontline workers. And so I had seen a lot of this during the pandemic, a lot of this, you know, stuff on the Daily Hive and things that they were doing. And it caught my attention. I was like, Herbaland gummies. And first off, I was like, you know, I'm in orthomolecular health. I've been in this industry for a while. I'm like, gummies for what? Like, because when I think of gummies, I'm not thinking about vitamin gummies, you guys. Okay, I'm being honest.
What gummies are you thinking about?
Cheerful gummies.
Like, I don't know.
Like cheerful gummies.
I'm hungry.
Like the ones on the couch kind of gummies, you know, those kind of gummies.
Super.
Yeah, because those are kind of getting it, you know, those are coming back for a while there, right?
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, what are these? And with a name like, you know, Herbaland, I mean, I get asked all the time, are you guys like CBD gummies? I'm like, no, we're not. But so
not yet.
Not yet.
Never say never.
Oh, I know.
Product launch.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if only we could get it in Canada. You know, I feel like it's
1 year.
Years on the way.
1 year.
But yeah, so I was kind of like intrigued by this gummy company. And so I applied for it. It was marketing manager. And I went to my first interview, and I remember they're in Richmond. And I remember I walked out and I called my husband, and I was like, oh gosh, I think I'm going to get this job. And he's like, really? Like, you've had one interview, don't count your sheep. Like, don't get excited. I'm like, no, I just have this, like, because some of the questions that were asked in my interviews, like, Mike, like, what would you do to this brand? How do you feel about rebrands? And I was just like, you know, I was going on vacation in a couple of weeks. So I was like, I'm just going to go for this. We'll see how it rolls. And I ended up getting the job. So I was like, I remember going on my holidays and coming back, and I was like, okay. So, I mean, they're a pretty big company. This has probably been one of my biggest roles, just stepping into marketing. You know, we're the number one gummy manufacturer in Canada. So, and like, basically they were like, here you go. Here's a marketing department. I had 12 people in my marketing department. I remember walking the first day. Yeah. I was like,
that's big.
What do all you guys do?
Yeah.
First off, I was like,
why are you all looking at me?
Just do something. Do what you did yesterday. I wasn't here yesterday at work. Just do something.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like, and this is still the joke in my department today, but like I have always told myself to be like young at heart, super like fun. I like to have a good time with everybody. I walked into this department and I'm like, holy shit, I'm old. Like,
Yeah.
this is the first time I've ever felt like we're all in their 20s, they're all fresh graduates. Like, I'm like, so my stories aren't funny anymore. So, okay, cool.
But they're not even relevant anymore, right? They look at you thinking,
No.
what was that? What?
Yeah. No. And like, I'm the only one with kids. And I remember the first day, like my friend, I remember the first day I was like super nervous and he's like, you know what? Good luck. Like, you're going to have like a great day. Happy first day. And I was like, oh, I'm so nervous. I'm like, I really hope they like me. And he's like, no, you hope they respect you. And I've never forgot that. Cause I was like, oh, because he's like, you're the manager, you're managing a marketing department. And I was like, oh, so I'm not part of the crew? Like,
liking you's good. If they like you, that's a bonus. But really, they just need to respect you and hopefully understand that you got their back and they've got yours.
Yeah. And it's been fun. So yes, I started as a marketing manager and then kind of, which is interesting about the company and how I got into sales and marketing, because this is, that's what I went to school for, is sales and marketing management. A couple months into the role, my boss is like, how do you feel? I've never done sales in my life. And it's kind of funny because I love sales. Like, now that I'm like, how did I not ever go into the sales? Even though my old role when I first got in the industry was educator, and I felt like that was hybrid between sales and marketing. And I've always said sales and marketing need to work together to be successful. 100%. And I've seen it in a lot of brands where these two departments do not communicate, and and things don't flourish. You don't scale. You don't, like, these two departments have to work together synergistically for the company to grow. And so for me, when I was offered the position to do sales and marketing and to work with the sales team, one of the things with Herbaland is just like, it really needed a lot more. It gave me an opportunity to work more with the retailers, which is like where my passion is lied. So it's been a cool, like, it's been a big jump. I won't lie. I'll be honest. I'm in deep and I'm like, wow, I'm doing it, but that's just kind of how I roll. And I'll be completely transparent about it. I think it's good to have a little fear in your your position, and it's something new and it's something exciting, but I do like a challenge. So that's what I'm doing, sales and marketing for, Herbaland, for Canada and the US.
Wow.
For both countries.
Okay.
Help.
Holy shit. Like, seriously. So you're managing the marketing department and the sales department for both countries? How many people do you have under you now then?
Yeah.
16.
How many?
16. So we have a big marketing department, a smaller sales department, a little bit opposite too, which is different for me, but it's working. I mean, obviously, as we're scaling, we're growing. We need to have more people in the department, which is all part of a company's growth. But it's a good team. Like, I'm and Kenny, we've known each other for a while. Like, I'm all about becoming friends and like building that, that solid foundation when it comes to, your team that you're working with. And I think we're getting there with like my sales marketing. I used to have meetings separate with them. And then I was like, we're a sales department. We got to be together. Everything has to be together. So
I mean, they can have separate meetings, but it's a good idea. You need to know what each other's doing.
Like, if you don't get them,
that's a lot.
They're not bonding.
Yeah.
The time that you're spending is exponential to keep them together. Right?
It's hard enough to corral the cats anyway.
Yeah.
The last thing is you need two teams of cats and they're not going in the same direction. Like, it's a bitch. It's a lot of work.
Wow. Good for you.
As you're finding out, like, people are not. There's a reason a lot of times we go into managing brands or you buy, like different roles, because managing people takes a lot of effort, a lot of time. And it's
where all the gray hair comes from.
That's what happens.
4 inches of it.
And then, and then to your point is now you'll go.
I have shorter hair than you. If my hair was as long as yours, it would all be white.
I feel like my dad. Got so much white. Like every building I go into, we were talking with friends last night, like friends from Toronto in their town, Earth and Rob, and we were talking, and I said, I go into meetings now, and I shit you not, I'm dying for someone older to come in the room so I'm not the oldest. I just want somebody, even if it's a janitor, anybody who comes, just someone please be older than me.
Dude, so one of the teams where I felt old, like everybody was a fresh grad, and we went on a business trip together, and I said to the team, there were 8 of them. And I said, somebody book a car so we can, so we can do this thing. And there was crickets. And I kind of looked behind me because we were sitting in kind of like a bullpen style. And I was like, no one's going to volunteer. And they're all like, we're not old enough.
You got to be 25.
You got to be 25.
And
I was like,
okay, I got to get, this is not good. I mean, you got to
fine, I'll do it. Right. And then we get there and then so I'm the only one who can drive. Right. So there's 8 of us in a fucking minivan. And I'm like, oh my God, now I feel like dad. Right now I really feel like dad. Right. Like, what the hell is, so that was my first, oh my God, I'm old. Like,
story of my life every day.
Right.
That's okay. That's okay.
But once you get there, once you cross that line, it's all good, right? After that, it's like, whatever. Yeah, I'm older, but,
I have, it's funny because there's this assortment of in my team, and I do have, Fran, who's actually my marketing lead. She's so great, but I'm always like, Fran, I'm really old. And she's like, no, you're still hip, Chelan. You're still hip. I'm like,
when they say that?
They don't mean it.
No.
But you know what, though? Don't burst my bubble.
No, take it. But really, you know what they're saying?
You're not.
You're really not there. But we like you.
I'm really
and
trying.
we think you're pretty. We think you're trying to be cool.
I know. I'm really trying.
I know, but it doesn't know.
This has been the most, like I said, this stepping in this year, with this team, I was like, shit.
I think it's awesome. Good for you.
It's amazing. Really, it's amazing.
And I think I like your approach too, because I'll tell you what, you'll spend more time with them than you will with the girls in your hubby. They need to be your family, really and truly. I know people, they all think you're bullshitting when we all talk this way, but you really need to have good relationships with the people you work with. You spend a lot of time with them, a lot of time with them.
I'm friends with, even in my previous, places that I've worked, I'm still friends. I think that's what I love about the CHFA.
That's the industry though. This industry breeds friendship.
Community.
I love this industry.
Yes, me too. It's hugs galore. Everybody's you can't run this industry just on Zoom alone. We couldn't do it. It was clear as day.
Well, we did it, but my God, I was so desperate just to hug people and handshake
and to see people,
and, just talking. I give you an example. My first time at this within this industry was 2000 at Expo, when Expo was really small. It was only upstairs still. There was no basement. There was no other buildings. It was upstairs to one level. And it wasn't all full. It was big. It was big for the time, but it wasn't full. And I remember the same thing that you did. I walked and I thought, fuck, I'm doing this. I'm buying this shit, man. I don't care what London Drugs wants right now. We're buying this shit. This is where we want to be.
Yeah.
I just loved it. It was so fun. And I've still got most of my business or industry friends are from this industry.
Yeah.
They're different. They stick differently. It's very family feeling. I love CHFA.
Coming from the other side, because my background is all CPG, so I come from kind of Fortune 500s, and I am so used to the old school blue suits and the I had a blue suit too. You kind of everyone checking out badges, and then you get the big gruff handshakes. And then I remember going to my first CHFA and kind of natural show. You're like, what's going on here? This is it's like a frat party compared to
kind of the Saturday night is usually a frat party.
No, yeah. Ooh, it's whoa, but it was refreshing, right? Good. Because we're so used to guarded walls and kind of sort of jovial, but everyone wants to be the jock, gruff handshake sort of people, right? So this is
way better.
It's a super, super cool nice industry.
It is. It's a really cool industry. And just how much it's grown, even going to Expo West this year for me, it was fun because this was my 3rd or 4th year and my entire team, none of them had gone. So I was I was like, okay, we're popping your cherry. This is your first time you're going. This is so fantastic. And I remember them walking up. Sorry, that was probably offside, but
that's okay. By now we've lost most people anyway.
We lost everybody.
The comments aren't going to be any worse than they started.
They're there is nothing coming out of this podcast.
And I'll tell you what, better from you than the two of us. So just light it up. Go ahead.
like I walked into the Expo West. I'm like, I remember their face lit up and I was like, oh, you just wait.
They haven't seen anything, man. Once you start walking, you can see the energy. They're all shaking and there's, it's so much fun.
And I'm trying to tell them now, because that was my team's first B2B show, right? So it was like Expo West, and of course we were launching our, our new packaging, a rebrand. There was so much excitement happening at that show because we had just gone through that rebrand. So I'd pushed them. They all thought I was crazy, by the way, when I was like, we're doing a rebrand in 8.5 months. I'm pretty sure I had like the hair standing out here. I was like, Megadeth, like, get this done. Trust me, this is worth it. And they were like, why is she making us do this? And then when we walked in there and we had everything, they were like, oh
yeah, now I get it.
Wow. And I was like, thank you. This is what we do this for. You don't do a rebrand and not launch at Expo West after 2 years. Let's go. Right.
Get it up, get it going.
Let's do it. But now we're going into, even going into the CHFA a month later, I was like, so I just need to warn you, it's not going to be the same. Like, I love the CHFA, but your first show was Expo West.
Yeah, it's a hard show to bench against.
Yeah, I was like, this is like the biggest, and now you're going into like the Canadian side, and this is the West, and I'm like,
this will be a friendly show, and everybody hugs, and they all talk, and your competitors will chat with you, and you'll notice all the brokers together. Everybody knows everybody, and nobody gives a shit. It's wonderful.
Well, that's the thing. That was how this show was. Everybody was happy to see everybody.
Absolutely.
We won an award. It was fun. Like, it was good. It was good.
Yeah, that's all.
Where, Expo West, you're like,
but it's too much. It's too much going on, right? It's just too big. It's just such a big show.
I don't even think I've ever walked the show. Like, I've been there, I've done one hall and been like, this is insanity.
No, I love walking.
Well, I know you're like crazy out there.
I just love it. I just love it. It's you just get wired for sound. It's such
you just get to know the guy who's driving the golf cart. That's the way I do it.
Is there a guy who drives a golf cart there?
No, I just find the guys.
Sure, there's always a guy who's driving a golf cart. You just need to find him and make friends with him.
That's the guy at the airport that I know when I'm running to my next flight. But yes.
What you get to know who has chairs if you need to sit for a little bit. Who's got some wine stashed around the corner.
Yeah.
When you get to know that, the show's easy to do. No problem.
Yeah. You've got like your treasure map. So here's where we catch the cart. This is where we're getting the Pinot. Yeah. Here's the couch.
This is a couch here. There's a chair over there. They don't use their tables. We can take that for a minute.
Yeah. And they've got CBD down there, so we should be good. Yeah.
Oh, anyone that has CBD, that's,
well,
especially for aches and pains, right? Like, I've walked the show all day. That's your last stop before you go back to the hotel. That's what you do.
What's the new and exciting coming up now with your new gig here? Like, what's going on? So you guys rebranded?
Yeah, so we rebranded.
No trade secrets. You don't have to no trade secrets.
Yeah, no, please.
Trouble. Remember, this is recorded.
No trade secrets.
Well, you can't tell us things that you don't want.
No, don't tell us confidential things.
No, I won't. So cool thing. Yeah, I mean, our brand, we went through a rebrand, so we changed the packaging. And it was a big thing. So like I said, they have they work with a lot of core values, and sustainability is one of theirs. And obviously we know sustainability is a big thing right now. A lot of brands are doing a lot of different sustainable measures. When I came in, I remember sitting at the table with my boss, and which is really cool. I work for, so it is family owned and operated. So it's husband and wife that owns the company. They've owned it since 2009. My boss is a female. So this is the first time I've actually worked. My CEO, my founder is a female. So I'm working for a woman, which is different for me, because I've always worked for men, which is, they're both like, we had that conversation. Men and women are totally different. Yep. So it's actually kind of been a cool experience for me. Working for a woman and just like, even with my own goals and things moving forward. But so I remember her sitting down and she's like, listen, we are going to go, she's like, how do you feel about a rebrand? Are you cool to do this? And I was like, sure. And then she's like, here you go. And I'm like, I've never done this before. So hopefully I got this. But she's like, we're going to switch over to compostable packaging. And I remember when she first said this to me, I'm like, okay, like super cool, super awesome. But also I am like, definitely, I want to tread lightly here because obviously climate change is real. We've experienced a lot of things here, but I also don't want to be a brand that's not crossing the T's, dotting the I's. And you want to make sure that you do this right. And there's a lot of pressure as a marketing manager to make sure that all of our messaging things are like that. So it was a bit of a, when she said this, I was like, okay, we're going to go with this. There's a lot that went into us designing the packaging and pushing forward, but it's been such a cool experience and such a cool ride, to be a brand that is really, focused on this, and sustainability, even all the way down to the production, is a big part of who they are and what kind of stuck out to me. So, creating packaging, it's not perfect. And, we've had a lot of blips in the way of getting to where we are. But it's pretty neat and it's innovative. And, gummies alone, just the industry. And I'm sure you guys have probably noticed there's a lot more gummy companies. So one of the things with Herbaland is that a bulk of our business is contract manufacturing. So we are the largest gummy manufacturer in Canada. And so a bulk of our business is contract manufacturing. And it's growing so fast because everybody wants to do gummies. And even when I stepped in, I was like, why gummies? I'm still trying to wrap my head, gummies, pills, because everybody's tired of taking pills. Nobody wants to take pills anymore. Pill fatigue is real. People have a hard time swallowing them. So the gummies, the big thing. So, I had a couple things being okay, so gummies, pushing the gummies, and then this new sustainable packaging. So as we've pushed through with the rebrand, the sustainable packaging, our initiatives have shifted and changed. And that's been exciting. So we just actually, I don't know if you saw at our booth, but we actually have just partnered with a company called Veritree. So it's a nature-based solution company. Their co-founders own 10 Tree. And so they started this company, Veritree. And so it is planting trees all over the world that are verified. And so we signed with them to do, we're planting a tree for every pouch. So it's
That's cool.
And doing so many different things sustainable packaging, gummy industry, working in the gummy industry and building that out. And then also these sustainable initiatives, which it's exciting. It's a lot. But it's
why you need such a big marketing team though.
Well, I was going to say a rebrand in 8.5 months
just not
pretty.
Yeah. But
I don't know how I did it,
to keep all these things up in the air, right? To keep all these things going, you really do. You need a team for that, right? It's.
Well, I think that's why it's good to talk about this, because I don't think people really get sometimes the complexity of that. A rebrand in itself on a brand that's got some breadth and distribution, 8.5 months is really not.
No, but a rebrand always is high stakes, right? Because
100%. You don't know.
There's you only have so much data that says, oh yeah, people will know it's you after, right? Or that people aren't going to hate it, right?
Or they're going to love it and say, oh my God, this is even better. I'll tell more people. You know,
there's a lot of,
calculated guesses.
Yeah. There's a lot of cold sweat is what I was going to say.
I would say for me, jumping in new to the company, and just from one of the questions they asked me in the industry or in the interview, was, what would you, they brought up the rebrand. They're like, how would you change your packaging? And I feel like these interview questions, sometimes they're a trick,
Sure.
I'm like, okay.
We love our packaging. Why'd you say we're going to change it?
Yeah, I love it. And it's funny because now I do interviews. So we throw out these questions and I'm watching them sweat in the chair because they're like, well, I actually think it's really good. And I'm in my mind, I'm like, that's not the answer I'm going for. I want I'm hiring you for a graphic designer. I need you to tell me how to fix this, right? Don't tell me it looks fabulous. I'm asking you for a reason. So I remember sitting there and being like, I don't know, but I knew something had to change. And just based upon my experience of being in the industry and knowing the retail space, it's a highly competitive market. Very, very saturated. And more so because we're established in Canada, but the US is a beast. And we know that. And it's a totally different market. And that is one of the things, even with my team, I'm we cannot go into the US thinking the same way that we do for Canada. No. Business in Canada is this way. Business in the US is this way. And to be honest, even going in as the sales manager for the US, I learned a lot of this just watching, being with NRC and watching the business in the US and just being a part of that, which is kind of the cool part about the different organizations and brands I work with. You take a little piece of you wherever you go. And, and, we are a tight knit community. Like I said, I'm friends with all the people that I've worked with in past. And I believe all the people they're all mentors in moving, for me to be able to do this. Right. So Yeah, it's been very, it was at the time when I did the rebrand, I was just more excited to change the packaging because I saw opportunity. And I don't know if that, not to like, I don't know. I don't want to say that's one of my gifts or my passion, but I do, from coming from a retailer space and seeing the opportunity, I knew that something had to change. I knew as a consumer walking into, a vitamin supplement section,
Right.
you have 7 seconds to stand out on shelf. As a multivitamin and we're a gummy, you have to stand out. Something has to grab the attention of somebody fast.
Real
And
fast.
whether that's our call outs, whether that's our packaging,
Right.
what we're about, you have 7 seconds to grab somebody to be like, what's this? And so that's my mentality when we went in to, do the brand refresh or the packaging change.
Mhm.
And we did have people help us, but it was really like I had 3 graphic designers. We were going to launch 5 products in March and we started our rebrand in November and we were only going to launch 5. In March, I launched 26. So we took an original design and I was like, let's go with it. And
Amazing.
then we redid an entire gummy line and created something called Snacks with Benefits because I was given the opportunity, like, here you go, put your, have some fun with it. And it really was me and the team of 3 graphic designers, 3 marketing coordinators, and an e-com team to be like, how do we do this? How do we pitch this? And so, it was teamwork to
That's
get us there.
amazing.
Yeah, it was fun. It was crazy though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
a little
100% crazy.
I mean, the only way I think we actually were able to do this is because there's over 200 employees at Herbalife. So, I come from, I worked in Organica was a large company, and then I worked with Energy, and then we were a very close knit group of folks there. And then I went from having, 2 of us in marketing to 12. And then an in-house research and development team and regulatory affairs. So I think that's the only way we were really able to pull off a rebrand in that short amount of time because
you got a lot of stuff in-house and people who are experts of it.
And that's
but still, it's a lot of coordination, right? Don't discount it. Just a lot of people makes lots of things easier, and a lot of people complicates a ton of stuff.
Well, absolutely.
Go both ways, right?
Too many.
Yeah, you've got to keep them coordinated.
Like now, you got cats, and now you got cats in 50 buckets, and they're all over the place.
Yeah, I know.
That's not easy.
But it was fun. We had a lot of fun.
I didn't realize they were that big.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Yeah. I honestly didn't.
Amazing.
I thought they were like 50, 60 employees, which was big anyway.
I think we have about 225 right now.
Big.
So we have 4 facilities, 125,000 square feet of manufacturing. So we manufacture all of our products in-house. Yeah. A team of 14 research and development and quality control.
That's good too.
Yeah. I mean, anytime you guys want to come for a gummy tour, it's pretty cool. Actually, I never thought I would get excited about going for a gummy tour. And then when I went
that one down, Phil, we have ideas, Chelan. We've got.
No, you should.
Oh, we have ideas.
We have one of these days. We're going to share our ideas with you. But we have ideas. We will be there.
I wrote Chelan down I think the first 5 minutes.
I told you.
Dude, am I on a scrap of paper or a post-it note? And you're gonna be like, why did I write that?
You're on a list. Yeah. A good list, but a list. Yeah.
Between the 2 of us, we'll remember why.
Yeah.
Don't worry. One of us will remember bits and pieces. We'll put it together. Well, that's why we wrote her name down. Yeah, that's why.
For the gummies, hopefully not under a hot mess, disorganized.
It might be all of it.
I'm gonna go listen to a hot mess.
Gosh.
I'm excited.
Oh God. Now everybody's gonna go listen to it and be like, oh
that's the whole point.
You should. It's called a hot mess. We'll put the link in the episode notes, but yeah.
Let's put it for the ladies. It's funny because that podcast, there's only a few episodes, but the first couple of ones, I had guests on it. And the one girl that I had on there, she's a life coach. She's fantastic. And I'm pretty sure she was just nursing me through the pandemic for the first time. I'm like, this sounds like a therapy session. She's like, well, it kind of is. Your viewer or your listeners are going to want to, I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I had these 2 women on it, which, I've gotten a lot of response, but it was life's too short to have bad sex. So, I mean, you could check that one out. That one might not be boring, but I'm like, it's really geared towards women. So, I mean, you guys might be like, wow.
Nope. I'm going to.
I'm going to check
your phone number. I've got your phone number. I'm going to connect you with somebody. I'm doing this. Seriously. I've got someone I want you to talk to.
But I think one of the things about podcasts that I love the most is just how everyone gets to the story that they're trying to get to.
Yeah.
Like, so it actually doesn't matter to me. Like, I think they're all amazing, and I think
I like listening to
the way everybody peels it away, like I'm
Yeah.
constantly amazed by it. So that's what I listen for more than anything. So plus, honestly, like I think I've said this before somewhere on the podcast, but I've sold more women's health products than I could care to ever admit, between FemHigh, yeast infections,
I bought them all
lubricants,
too, buddy.
pads,
Been through
tampons,
lots of
liners. Like, do
presentations.
you know what I mean? Like,
Love it.
there's very few things that really kind of scare
Yeah.
me away. So I'm all good. Like, it's
All
I
good.
think that's great. I actually I love it. It's funny because before we got on this podcast tonight, I've been super I work with retailers still, and Nature's Fair is one of my favorite retailers. And so I'm in my third year I run a women's series. It's called a women's series. And I started it 3 years ago in the beginning of the pandemic. And
okay.
it's a 4-week series of talking about women's health and different things. This year, tomorrow is my libido talk. So we're talking about libido and women's health. And I actually have, she's one of my mentors, but she's become a really great friend. But Lorna Vanderhaeg has been doing it with me this series.
Cool.
It's been great. So it's funny.
She's like an icon in the industry.
She is. I mean, she's definitely a leader in women's health. She paved the way for a lot of women founders and has created, she's created a lot of opportunity for women in this industry. And honestly, like somebody asked me this a little while ago, because I actually was interviewed for a Game Changer article. And so they were like, what is your goal in the industry? And I'm like, when I first started in the industry, I was just so in awe and I just wanted to be a part of it. And now I just want to create like polarity in the industry of women in the exec suite, and seeing more women founders, and kind of making it more equal, because that is one thing about the industry. It is very male dominated, and that's fine, but I want to see more women, climbing the ladder and being in these positions and these decision makers. And because I think it'll only be more beneficial in this industry, and it's growing rapidly, and you see it more. I see more women brands coming forward.
I'm telling you right now, it's changed dramatically.
Dramatically. Just unbelievable.
Like, it's much better now. At least
and it's exciting. It's so exciting,
it's awesome.
and I love seeing it. And I love like, even, this CHFA, like the awards of like women of influence, like there's so many amazing opportunities. It's awesome. And I think Lorna, she was my mentor in holistic nutrition school. I actually had to interview somebody in the industry, and she was the one that I got to interview. And I remember I was so scared going on the phone call with her, and I was like, I had to ask her, I had all my dorky notes, like, so as a mom, how do you manage your career and the kids?
I cannot see you being nervous at all.
Oh, I know. Like,
she's actually really nice. She's not hard to talk to. Lorna's
she is not, and she's been
she's pretty amazing.
Such a great mentor.
For sure.
Like, I have a bunch of great mentors in this industry, but she is one of them. And so it was super. I remember I was really even nervous asking her to join me on this, and she was like, "I'd love to do this with you," and I was like, "Really?
What?"
Yeah, totally. I was like,
"What?
Oh, shit,
right.
that's really easy." And she's like, yeah. And we've been having so much fun. So long story short, the book I was looking at before we got on this, The Vagina Bible. I'm doing my homework for tomorrow's episode with Nature's Fair.
Well, if you're talking libido.
Right. Talking about the libido. I've got all my books here.
So you're ready to go.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
That'll be exciting. That's pretty cool.
That's exciting.
So back to the what are you doing with yourself? I'm like, well, getting into the Canadian and US market with gummies, and I'm talking about libido with Nature's Fair and all the viewers with Lorna. I'm doing all sorts of things.
We got to try to get Lorna on the show, Phil. That's what we should do. We should try to get Lorna on. We're going to talk to her.
But I think what you're doing is amazing. Like,
well, thank you.
I think it's awesome. I think it's fantastic. It's neat to see you out there. Your posts are good. Like I don't know. I have always liked you, that. I mean, I think you're just pretty cool.
It's inspiring.
Yeah, that's coming from an old person, so that's about as good as the young person calling you cool. I mean, I think you're cool. I actually mean it. Just so you know, we go back to the office. Sorry, it's only me.
I think you're cool too. You guys are really cool. We are a bunch of cool cats.
Wow.
Did that sound dorky?
That really sounded dorky.
No, I don't care. I'll take it.
Unbelievable, but
I
I'm
accept.
Gonna take it. I took it.
I accept.
I think I got called cool last week, Phil, didn't I?
No,
What?
I don't think so.
Yes, I was. It's recorded.
I think that was your hearing aid just
No, it's been recorded. Someone
malfunctioning.
said last week I think I was cool. I'm pretty sure that's on the
I'm-
recording.
I
And
think
Chelan now. So that's like 2 times in like 7 days. Like it's
Now look what you've
it's
done.
been validated. It's over.
Do you see his head expanding? Like it's not going to fit in the screen in just a second.
I think
It's too late.
listen, 2 times in 1 week, if somebody said I was cool, I'd be like, I mean, I know. I'm wearing a
I'm
leather.
taking it.
Real cool.
And I'm connecting you with somebody that you may already know. And if you don't know her, you will now.
Oh, surprise. Is it going, you sending that to my inbox?
No, I'm going to send it to your text. You're going to text both of you.
Amazing.
I just love this person.
Is this for the podcast? Is this to
It
get me
could
back?
be, and I'll tell you why. Because I talked to her a couple weeks ago, and actually Phil and I talked to her last week. And like one of her things, it's just funny because you brought up the hot mess.
Yeah.
One of her things was, going through the age, mid to little later 40s, the menopause thing. Can't find anything, can't find information, doesn't know where to look. You do all the searches, it takes you rabbit holes, and like it's really I know, because even with M&P, like when you're trying to find stuff, it's hard to find
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I think you two would need to connect.
Wait, did I talk to her? I don't know what he's doing.
I'm doing this thing. To connect.
Okay, while he's doing his thing, if people want to find you, talk to you, reach you, is LinkedIn the best place to find you? You're like, I'm busy. Don't send me any more notes.
I was actually going to take it to the other way. It's probably because I'm halfway down my glasses. It's going to be like, for a good time, call. No, I'm kidding.
It's a family show still, eh? Now we've lost everybody. Okay, if we haven't lost them like an hour ago, like we lost them for sure again. Like there's gonna be the comments on this is gonna be like our ratings are gonna go right to shite. That's what's gonna happen. We're gonna get
okay, first
cancel culture. We gotta
it.
cancel
I love
culture.
it. I love it.
Oh my gosh. So what guest number am I?
We're at 238 now. You'll be 245.
245-ish.
245.
We've been doing this for 4.5
show.
years. Yeah.
I
We
know.
didn't even get to 250.
You know what, though?
Now we're done.
You know what's amazing is that I remember when you were like, when we worked together a couple years ago,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, I just do this podcast. And I was like, really? This is super cool. And
Twice,
like,
Phil.
so
Twice
now
the
I'm
same
245.
245.
Yeah,
That's
245.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, I've listened to a few of yours. I had to like,
Thank you.
you had some good ones. I had
Thanks.
to get on there and listen to them. And I think it's awesome. And I'm so like, honestly, I'm so thrilled that you asked me and honored. So thank you.
I was thrilled he said yes.
No, we were.
I mean, I
super
might have
happy
plummeted
to
your
come
show. Sorry
on.
about
No, not
that.
at all. Not at all.
No, it's just our ratings
Not
are
at
gonna
all.
go right to hell. But that's
Your ratings
okay.
are going to go in the toilet because they're going to be like, who is this lady?
Yep, here we go.
for
They're at it
those who know
again
me.
and
I
right down
know.
a path they shouldn't have gone.
Come on, it's entertaining. But
I think
for
so
real,
too. Trust me.
to be professional.
Put the glass of wine down and talk seriously now. At
You mean
minute
the bottle? No, I'm
60.
kidding. Yeah, LinkedIn is a great place. I feel like if we want to be super professional, yeah, LinkedIn. You can find me.
And yet you're still fun on LinkedIn too. So which is good.
Yeah, I mean, you can slide right into my DMs on LinkedIn. We're good.
I'll get into that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you
Well,
for
thanks for
doing
having
this.
me on the show, you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming
this
on.
was
Like,
amazing.
seriously, I'm glad
Couple
you
good
I'm glad
laughs.
that. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you can go
Um,
now.
And
Just enjoy your
then
evening.
keep us up to date. So as things,
Yeah.
if you add new things, you
Or
need
if you're
more
seeing something
guests
cool
for a
out there,
hot
like if
mess.
things are happening, let us know.
Anything that's going on, you just let us know.
Yeah.
Like ping us back. Come on anytime.
Like if you
Yeah.
find one of the guests that you think would be
Mhm.
great on yours, just let us know and
Mhm.
we'll do the intros.
Mhm.
Yeah, sounds good. You guys definitely should reach out and get Lorna on there. She's
Yeah,
got
it's a
some
good
good
idea.
stuff.
I
Yeah.
forgot about it. Just haven't
She's
done
pretty
it.
amazing.
Yeah, she's got an amazing,
Her
amazing
story's
career
cool,
path.
right?
It's
that's
very
just it,
cool.
right? And she's done a lot. For the
Very
industry.
inspiring.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and she
That's
still
very
is. So it's cool. I love
Yeah,
it that
it's nice.
she still loves it so much. So anyway, you should
Cool.
definitely. Okay, guys,
Amazing.
nice to see you. Thank you so much for having me
Yes.
on.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Good evening.
Bye,
Phil,
Chelan.
hang around.
Bye.
Chelan, ciao.
Yeah.
No.
She's cool.
Oh, she's a bundle of freaking energy. You kidding me? I love her. I love
She
the
is
way-
so cool. I like her so
That's why I
much.
liked her when we were working together because you know what? She's
Yeah.
just so.
Yeah.
It's good. Like she's got so much energy.
Like for the listeners, like I literally I've met her, I don't know, for 15 minutes at
Oh, I didn't think it was
CHFA,
that long.
maybe,
Maybe
right?
5 minutes.
And then
Like
we
seriously.
jumped right into it. Like
Yeah.
I think I could hang with her all night.
Oh,
like
you
that.
could.
She
I'm
was,
telling you, man, you go out with her, like it's a hoot. Like she's
yeah,
really, really
she's
easy
hilarious.
to be around. She's
Yeah.
really easy to be
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
She's a very, very nice person.
Yeah. That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And
It's
I
very
think
cool.
I think like this is one of those things too. Like I know she thinks, you know, like Lorna is very inspiring, whether you're male or female. But I think too, you look at the things that Chelan is trying to do, right? And the
Yeah.
energy that she's putting into all the things she's doing. To me, that's,
I think it's awesome.
yeah, I think it's
Like,
amazing.
I mean, seriously, I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah.
You know, and not in a stuffy format. That's again, this is why this industry is so much more fun to be in sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Is it's not the stuffiness, right? You're just you're trying your best, and she's not scared to make mistakes, and you know, I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
I like it.
I like
it a lot. Yeah.
Me too,
really
buddy
like
boy.
it. It's cool,
Okay.
dude.
That's it.
That's it. That's all I got.
I got nothing else for you either. I got to go do some spreadsheet work, which is just
Aye.
really a drag. At 8 o'clock.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Really appreciate it.